Hi, I'm Juon Kim. During this fellowship, as a UBI basic income activist, I'm trying to find a mission for basic income movement in the area of climate crisis. I had 4 big questions at first, like that. It's more like guidelines which remind me of important values during the research. From now on, I'll introduce 6 key learnings during this fellowship. First of all, I reminded my motivations and priorities of my interest and realized how I am desperate for this topic. For example, through the branding workshop, I devised a mission statement. That is, I want to make attractive stories about basic income and green politics to sustain hope by encouraging people to imagine a radical future. The more we face climate change, the more we feel helpless. I wonder what stories would be needed together. Is it policy research and proposal, or is it a motivation to participate in the climate movement right now, or is it a tool to imagine a hopeful future? Secondly, through the open investigation presentation, I clarified my main argument, which is to rebuild the criteria for resource distribution with whole new paradigm on tackling both climate crisis and inequality problem at the same time. If so, what is needed? How can basic income can help this? I have a vague idea that basic income would help, but I didn't know how to connect UBI movement and climate activism more specifically. So to understand climate activism in Korea, I met 2 of young women activists. One is from Youth for Climate Action, and the other is from Climate Strike Korea. I asked them what are their learnings, feelings, prospects about climate movement so far. Youth identity, autonomy, no objectification, self-organization are important keywords for Youth for Climate Action. And they are trying to find the colleagues locally and connect the resources of the local to make a platform for the voices of youth. The Borin Kim, she has concerns about insecure situations for most youth due to the absence of adequate job policy, considering that we need alternatives for the core industry phase out and urgent aid for farmers, fishers, etc. And furthermore, most youth are too busy to participate in climate activism. These stories remind me of UBI. And Eun-young from Climate Strike Korea shared her visions for the movement. We need messaging strategies and tactics to get out of past dependency and climate depression to build a new civilization. And we need to imagine a new front to tackle the climate change, like inter-Korean cooperation for energy transition. And we need solidarity of eco-feminists in Asia against massive construction and deconstruction of arable land. And all these changes should be explosive, not sporadic. And then I held a workshop with Basic Income Youth Network in order to know how my colleagues actually feel about climate crisis. We were able to gather each individual's thoughts, make them into our ideas, and turn them into activity plans through the workshop. The purpose of workshop is actualize the plan that connects Basic Income Youth Network members, climate awareness, and basic income, and they are our sub-goals of the workshop. I asked questions like, why is the climate crisis a problem in our lives? And there's kind of thought experiments like, suppose there are 10 activists who are already receiving basic income in BIYN. What do you want BIYN to do? Some of the discussions have gone too far, like let's create UBI town and UBI school, or let's recruit a US citizen, white male lawyer, and help him run for presidential election. What I found important here is we can discuss not only threats we face, but also possibilities at the same time. That means a lot to us. And after this workshop, I felt the mission statement I wrote at the branding workshop should be revised. I realized that I only can make stories for me to survive and be alive in this area, and I cannot know if it's attractive to others or not. Actually, what I'm good at is not telling a story, but is helping people to digest the current situation and to gather together and discuss, to voice out their opinions and feelings so they find possibilities for themselves. And I'm not good at collecting and visualizing data. As you can see, my thesis slide poster on the wall. So I hope lots of future collaborations with you guys. On the other side, with a conversation with Hemi Kim, a welfare activist, I can learn that government's response to climate change is exactly the same as that of the national pension depletion problem in Korea. It is to avoid responsibility, put off as much as possible, and that future generations embrace it. That means the fear of climate crisis and pension depletion will be much greater, making it difficult to imagine life after 2050, and natural and social disasters will overlap, as she said. So we talked about concrete policy reforms with reference to basic income to deal with both problems. She also said national pension should be reformed from an ecological and gender perspective. 기초연금, basic pension-based reform is needed. For now, seniors are only guaranteed, but everyone needs a pension in the form of basic income to build abilities to cope with climate crisis. Regulations are also needed to prevent national pension funds from investing in coal power industry. And I also found some good articles explaining UBI and Green New Deals together. Also, I came across new tools thanks to Dark Matter Labs. I was not familiar with this kind of mapping, and I'm also not a graphic designer. But when I first heard about system thinking and systems financing, it seemed to me super helpful to analyze UBI. Since there are too many words floating inside my brain, I need a tool to catch the word and put them on the paper. So I'm not yet used to it. It looks ugly at this moment, but I think it worth trying. And there are two undecided things that I'm still thinking what would be better. I already narrowed down my activist research focus and target audience to use from everybody at first, but still I'm thinking whether to go wide and thin to show a big picture and layout of interlinked relations among factors, or to go narrow and deep about the topic to focus on the specific part of the whole picture like lifestyle transition or policy reformation. Second, what I want to do is making a prototype of UBI movement for climate justice with experimental spirit, which is more helpful to hand in action for us, whether to focus on mapping of relevant factors or narrating composition or storytelling. Or can it be possible for me to combine these two methods in one provocation, considering the limitations of time and ability? And there are my references for provocation are kind of diagram from Dark Matter Labs, text or piece of articles like from the Green European Journal, or diagram again, like when I googled finance, systems financing, or article again. I'm not sure yet. I'd be glad if you give me some advices to decide. And there's one last thing I want to share with you. During this AYARF, I became more convinced that someday we are going to become a climate activist, because it is the inevitable time that requires us to be. As I mentioned before, I'm still afraid but not feel helpless. I hope you guys also can sense not only the huge threat but also other possibilities for the radical future. And thanks for listening. Any questions, comments, feedbacks would be appreciated.